we're going to listen in to the very latest from Sky News in Australia right now.
This man sneaks up on one of the gunmen and wrestles the firearm away.
It's the most unbelievable scene I've ever seen. A man walking up to a gunman who had fired on the community and single-handedly disarming him. That man is a genuine hero.
Disarmed, the man retreats back to the walkway where the second gunman continues to fire. A shootout with police unfolds and the two men fall to the ground. These images show the men restrained, with one receiving CPR. The threat contained after just a few minutes, but bodies of victims are left covering the ground, where moments earlier an event to mark the first night of Hanukkah was taking place.
It was full of grandparents and grandchildren.
There were bullets all around me. All I can do is screaming, "Where is my family? Where's my little girl? Where's my little girl?" I saw her dancing for a second and she was gone. I actually had a police officer drag me out. He was shot in the head.
And then once the shooting stopped, I went out, tried to help people. I was just covering bodies because there was people dead.
I can assure the community it will be met with a massive, comprehensive police and public order response. Our heart bleeds for Australia's Jewish community tonight.
With multiple investigations now underway, both New South Wales Police and Australia's security agency ASIO have confirmed one of the shooters was known to them.
One of these individuals was known to us, but not in an immediate threat perspective, so obviously we need to look into what happened here.
As part of the investigation and shortly after the shooting occurred, police located a vehicle in Campbell Parade at Bondi, which we believe has several improvised explosive devices. We have our rescue bomb disposal unit there at the moment working on that.
These communities should not live in this terror. And tonight I was at an event where I was saying to members of the Jewish community, I said, isn't it great that we are ending the year on a high after such a devastating start to the year? And here we are.
An attack on Jewish Australians is an attack on every Australian. And every Australian tonight will be, like me, devastated on this attack on our way of life.
For now, Australia's terror threat level remains unchanged at probable.
I don't see that changing at this stage. Probable means there is a 50% chance of an act of terror, and unfortunately we've seen that horrific act occur tonight in Australia.
It doesn't matter what you call it, it's hate and it's got to stop, and we have to stop it in its tracks in every way that we can.
Let me be clear, we will eradicate it. Amidst this vile act of violence and hate will emerge a moment of national unity, where Australians across the board will embrace their fellow Australians of Jewish faith at this dark moment for our nation.
An enormous police and ambulance response, so rarely seen at this scale in Australia, continues into the night. Cameron Redden, Sky News.
That is just an extraordinary day. It is a bloody mark on our nation's history, and it is a day that will mean that Bondi is forever changed. I want to bring Alex Thomas, my colleague at Sky, back for more now. I mean, Alex, I just had a message from a friend, actually, who's not Jewish, but he said this isn't just an attack on Jewish Australians. This is an attack on Australia. So everyone's feeling it.
Yeah, and Australia's got a certain reputation across the globe. And I feel like, as someone who's been living and working here for the last couple of years, been married to an Aussie and known her for the best part of 20 years, had regular visits here, it has dented that image to a large extent. I just had a message on my WhatsApp group from a relative friend of a friend, a Mexican national, and a young lad who had to run for cover, who was on the beach. I haven't had a chance to catch up with him, find out his personal tale. And we've heard so many today, but there are so many international visitors that come to Bondi for its reputation, international students too that like to live in the area because of its reputation. So not only will this make global news headlines, but the anecdotal tales will also spread through those local networks and communities. And it's easy, well, I think we've done a good job of expressing the gravity of the tragedy, and quite right too. But, for example,
finishing well, and it was not
2 in the morning in Sydney. They're processing it.
Hello, fellas. How you doing? Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all of you. Um, this is a very different live stream, I guess, from what we're used to. I realize that just like you, many of you realize by now, we're full of fraud, psychological operations everywhere, false flag operations, and so I had thought to dissect this event probably the same day or the day after it happened. But as more things became public, I decided to wait a bit longer. And then, of course, we had the shooting at the Brown University and the murder of MIT physics professor Nuno Loureiro, a Portuguese citizen who went to college just blocks away from the house of my father in law. So that's very interesting. I will be bringing you the goods today and unequivocally demonstrate that both these events are full of lies, as it often happens with everything you see on mainstream media. If it's shown on mainstream media 24/7, if it focuses on this event, you can gather it's most likely a psychological operation. If it's ignored by the mainstream media and alternative media, and on the opposite, censored, it's probably organic. That's a good rule of thumb. Um, the false flag operation crisis during this second Trump administration is off the charts. We didn't see this happening. During the Obama administration, we had the Sandy Hook shooting and many other shootings. Um, During the Biden administration, we had a number of shootings as well. But during this Trump administrations, especially the first one with the COVID narrative that he himself facilitated, despite the best wishes of his supporters. This time around, this second administration of this government has been atrocious. And in trying to see it in a different light, it has also been great because many have opened their eyes to the lies of this egomaniac psychopath. And listen, probably some of you watching still believe in this guy. That's your right. That's your prerogative. Just like it's my right to not believe in any politician, and just like it's my right to denounce the crimes and the lies of every single people in position of power. I don't care, left or right. If you participate in this nonsense, I'm gonna expose it. I don't have a political agenda. I don't get money from anybody, except my audience who supports me. So I only owe myself to the truth, and I am obliged, because of my integrity, to only deliver the truth or what I perceive to be the truth to my audience. If I lose subscribers, if I lose audience over it, so be it. I'm not gonna compromise for shekels. I'm not gonna accept 30 pieces of silver. So, you can get mad at me. Those of you who still support Trump, you can scoff at the screen and call me names. Go ahead. It's not gonna change reality. And the sooner you stop following men, especially politicians, professional liars, actors, the sooner off you will be from this anxiety train, this river of deceit that a lot of us have been, in the past at least, drowning in. Not anymore. I got off of that boat a long time ago. Now, not to say I don't get deceived. Still to this day, sometimes I do. Sometimes I run with a version of the events that is not the right one, and I always strive to correct it. Now, let me see who is here and say hello to some of the people around. Thank you for being here. I'm hoping you're having a great December. Mine has been a very tough. Has been a bit tough. I'm not gonna lie. Um, the migrant criminality has finally arrived to my doorstep, and I already have been forced to um, increase my security measures at home, increase my weaponry, have serious talks with my wife, with my family, with neighbors here in Portugal. Um, we had robberies. We have robberies often. We have aggression attempts, not yet aggressions or rapes, because the moment that happens, you better be sure I'm gonna do something about it if the police fails to do so. We only have two police officers in this village. So, it's going to be interesting to see how they handle it. I'm not saying they're not capable. I'm not saying they are somehow obliged to not do the right thing. But I'm just saying that if they don't do the right thing, me and other well meant neighbors and patriots have already been having meetings to do the right thing, to organize, as you should in your communities. You shouldn't leave your security, you shouldn't leave your well being in hands of others. It should come, you should prepare yourself for whatever comes. Okay, let's see who is here. Gabriel Cruz. Hello, Carl. Hello, Kim. Hello, Hiker. Thank you for being here. Thank you, all of you, for coming here on such a short notice. I realize that, I've been having some shortcomings with software and hardware. And right now, I'm not being able to send the newsletter. It's a bit off the budget at the moment. So if you guys are able to share these videos, share my posts, subscribe to the website, donate to the fundraiser, that that helps a lot. I'm doing my best to retain the most subscribers I can, but it's not easy. I have been a bit disenfranchised, I must admit, because of censorship. I'm being throttled everywhere, every single platform: Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, even Telegram. There's no platform that doesn't censor me. And of course, I'm human after all. I try to keep pushing forward. I try to not get discouraged, but it really stinks when you're trying to do the right thing and you're putting lots of effort and time in your work. And I'm pardon my French, but this son of a bitches in charge are just screwing with those of us who are not part of their agenda. I am a persona non grata everywhere, and I will never bow down and kiss the ring of any of these characters. I'm trying not to curse. I'm trying to be more, more gracious and more connected to God in the way I think, in the way I talk, in the way I act. And it's not easy. All habits die hard, as they say. I don't think there's much wrong with cursing per se. As a former um, rocker, and all the things I've done in life are not precisely bound by class and manners and stuff, but people change. um, I'm hoping all of you are doing great. I know that some of my subscribers have been having a hard time, um, you know losing loved ones, even as recently as last week. I had a very dear friend who I've met for 4 years lose her mother. So, I don't want to mention her name to maintain her anonymity and respect her privacy. But if you're listening, my friend, I know that you're suffering, and I am sorry about it. I am with you. We're praying for you. Um, that said, this repetition of the narrative, it's very suspicious. And of course, for some reason, I already know, without doing much research, I already know what they're trying to do. And I'm going to tell you exactly what is going on with this terrorist attack in Australia. And I'm going to tell you exactly what's going on with the professor at MIT and the Brown University shooting. Uh, Obviously, not everything has been found by myself. I've, as the first um, discoverer of the information, but I'm very good at finding out what others find. If I have not been the one on the case at first, it's been a busy month, busy year, and it's been hard to maintain a schedule. But that's going to change next year, hopefully. Um, According to the mainstream media, the Bondi attack in Sydney, Australia, during a Jewish Hanukkah celebration was a horrific tragedy, terrorism. Authorities moved quickly to frame it as the act of lone individuals suffering from mental illness. So, with that in mind, I also have to tell you that there are usually three layers for these events, three layers of information. The first layer, and not to say that you shouldn't take your eyes away from any of them, you should keep your eyes on all of them, because only by looking at the three layers, you have more chances to get to the truth. The first layer is the mainstream media, which of course will follow the Hegelian dialectic narrative, because where the mainstream media goes and says this and that, the alternative media, the brood of vipers that have become the so-called alt-right media, it's control opposition 98% of it. Then the third layer, you could say, is people like me. Or actually, there's a third layer of people that like to promote themselves as if they're honest, and exposing both the mainstream media and the alternative media, and they are part of it still, because they have planned this so well to catch your attention, to control the narrative, that they have positioned their agents everywhere, in every single part of the puzzle. So I would consider myself in the fourth layer, which is the best, the minority. I don't know, maybe less than 1% of the people covering these things, where we just don't have an agenda. I don't care about Judaism. I don't care about Islam. I don't care about Hinduism. I am a Christian. I am a white nationalist. And I am all about God, family, and country. I'm all about putting God first, putting my family second, and putting my country third. And with that in mind, of course, if I put God first, that would uh, that would pretty much oblige me to stick with the truth, no matter if it doesn't fit my best wishes or compromises even my family or my country. The truth is the main thing. Nothing else matters. I mean, everything else comes after it, to be honest. So, the alternative media has been questioning how the authorities ruled out terrorism almost immediately before full details were released. To them, um, it says here there are unclear timelines, limited disclosure of background, online activity, and possible influences. The attackers were two people of Pakistani origin: Sajid Akram, 50 years old, and his son Naveed Akram, 24 years old. The former was shot dead by police at the scene during the response. The latter survived but was critically injured, taken to the hospital, and has since been charged with multiple offenses, including murder and terrorism charges. So let's analyze. I don't really care much about what these mainstream media outlets say. And for the most part, I haven't watched these videos on entirely, so I'm gonna be reacting in real time. So let's get to the next one. This one is obviously one of the first one videos as soon as the attack happened, because they're reporting 12 dead when in reality, if I'm not mistaken, it was 16, including the shooter, one of the shooters. Now, when I say false flag operations, I do want to make sure that you guys understand that I'm not saying that all the victims are fake. I'm not saying all of them were crisis actors. Definitely, there are crisis actors involved, but there might be a mixture of real victims and fake victims. And for that, we have to dissect basically every single person that we have names on, and we will need to look into their past, their jobs, um, you know, everything around their lives to make sure that they're legit or not. I'm not gonna focus on that today. I will tell you the names of all the victims, and for the sake of transparency. But I am not going to dissect whether they are fake victims or real victims. I don't think that's. I mean, obviously, it's important because if there is fake victims, if it brings more credibility to the fact that it's a false flag operation. But if you ask me, the evidence is so incredible, pointing in that direction, that we don't even need to verify if there are fake victims. I know there are. I mean, for example, there's this guy. Let me show you here on my screen. Okay, let me see. Okay. Let me see. What's his name? Arsen Ostrovsky. There's this guy, of course, who participated or survived in the false flag operation on October 7th last year. And of course, this is him back then taking a selfie after being shot, being full of blood, during the false flag operation, Hannibal directive in Israel during that infamous day that led to the Palestine invasion, the invasion by the Israeli genocidal Talmudic government. So here he is. He's if you want to look at fake victims, all you got to see is this guy. Okay? So let me just read a bit what you guys are talking about to make sure I get and cover all the questions that you have. Yes, December is always tough. Hello, Miss Cojones. That's the best username. Okay, let me see if I have more questions. Yes, the constant state of fear is deemed necessary to keep people constantly distracted and not able to see the big picture. Completely right. Spot on. That's what they're doing. Order out of chaos, right? And the more the years pass by, the easier it gets for us who have been following psychological operations since 20 years ago. It's just so easy to notice. And I was talking with my wife about the murder of Nuno Loureiro, the MIT professor. And she was troubled because she was saying, I cannot believe a Portuguese did this. And I told her, honey, let me show you what really happened. And it took me literally 5 to 10 minutes to disarm the official narrative and find all the answers pretty much. It's not hard. You just have to know where to look and how to look. So, obviously, this guy, human rights lawyer, CEO at the International Legal Forum, and senior fellow at Ms. Gap Institute for National Security and Zionist Strategy. Interesting, no? So I took this from Twitter, this whole picture. One of the alleged victims of the shooting, a high profile international human rights lawyer and pro Israel Zionist, colored me shocked. I would have never guessed it. You know, anti Semitism, of course. I'd rather be antiseptic than to be a sellout accepting 30 coins of silver like many people are doing. It's crazy how many people have sold out. And even people I used to think they were on my same layer, the fourth layer, the layer of honesty, the layer of integrity, people I collaborated with, they sold out for 30 pieces of silver. And every time I see them appear on the screen, I cannot help by getting nauseous. You know, it's nauseating how dishonest these people are. December is always tough. And, cameras also. Yes, I actually, well, I have shown several things. I have this right here, always handy. I have battle axes, I have throwing axes, I have security lights, motion detectors, gonna install some cameras as well. I have weapons all over the house. In every single room, there's a hidden weapon. I have batteries to last for years. I have supplies to keep my wife, my grandma, and two extra people alive for 3 months. Um, these are things that I prioritized since last year. And little by little, I've been arming myself with the means to survive anything, blackouts, zombie apocalypse, war, you name it. They say that if you have the capability to survive a zombie holocaust, a zombie apocalypse. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the fake Jewish narrative. I'm sorry. It mixes up. It's hard. It's hard. But if you're able to survive a zombie apocalypse, you're supposed to be able to survive everything. So recently, I ordered a sword from Denmark. Very nice weapon. Perfect crafted sword, Viking style. Very light, very sharp, and I'm in love with it. Obviously, sword fighting is a death art, so I need to learn by myself how to use it properly. But yeah, I'm getting ready for whatever comes. Um, I'm sorry about the censorship too, but it comes with the field. If you are honest, if you don't sell up for scraps, you're gonna be censored. Thank you, Miss Cojones. I'm praying for all of you as well. Um, Life is hard for everyone. I understand that things are not easy. The economy sucks. The state of the world, even though it's disparaging, uh, I do believe that our lives, even though we have this increase of migrants and crimes and everything, my life is still good. I still am able to laugh daily, and I'm able to do the things I like the most, which is cooking and spending time with my family, and you know being kind to people, helping the elderly. These are things that bring me personal satisfaction and a personal sense of success. I don't need to have a car. I don't need to travel. I don't need to have fashionable clothes. For me, success is to be respected by the people I love and the people I share my community with, and the ability to see myself in the mirror and be happy and be proud and not be nervous and not be afraid because I'm hiding things. That's success for me. So, with that in mind, I'm very, very successful. And it's at the grasp of everybody. It's so easy to achieve that level of success. You only need to be honest, kind, and responsible. That's it. It's not that hard. Um, Excuse me, I dropped my papers. Okay, so I see you guys are super active in the chat. Thank you so much for being here. So let's start. Now that we saw this fake actor, and here he is, it's pathetic. I'm gonna show a video with him in a bit. Um, Bullet grazed my head. Doctor said miracle survived, but will make recovery. Where have I heard that before? Grazed by a bullet, almost to the shot in the head. Oh yeah, that's right. That was Donald Trump. July 2024, if I'm not mistaken. It was like July 14th, July 13th. Another false flag operation to push the narrative. To push the narrative that he's a victim. To enhance the notion that he's for the people and against the system, when in fact, Donald and his friends are part of the swamp, just like Hillary and the other liars are. So I'm going to mute myself while I show these videos for you not to hear any echo. But let's continue. I'm not going to save that. This video, okay. Let me mute myself.
Moments, our sisters and brothers in Sydney, Australia, being attacked by vile terrorists in a very cruel attack on Jews who went to light the first candle of Hanukkah on Bondi Beach. Our heart goes out to them. Our heart misses a beat. The entire nation of Israel misses a beat in this very moment as we pray for the recovery of the wounded. We pray for them, and we pray for those who've lost their lives. We send our warmest strength from here, from Jerusalem, and we repeat our alert time and again to the Australian government to seek action and fight against the enormous wave of anti-Semitism which is plaguing Australian society. Let's hope for better news, and we hope to see them all healing and here.
Welcome back to a special edition of Sunrise. We are right here at the scene of that horror yesterday that unfolded here at Australia's most famous beach, Bondi Beach. That is the bridge that we've all seen on our screens for the last, 12 hours since it happened, where those gunmen opened fire on innocent men, women and children celebrating Hanukkah, one of the most famous of all the Jewish celebrations.
Let me make a parenthesis there. It took the police 20 minutes to act. If that doesn't scream psychological false flag operation, I don't know what does. They were so brave when people were breaking, the COVID measures. The police in Australia was relentless in abusing their citizens. But now, they are afraid to act when they should act, when people are getting shot at. 20 minutes to actually take down or shoot back at the terrorists. Some people are saying the guns were fake, they were shooting blanks. I would need to analyze that to actually promote that notion. I'm not going to be responsible. Everything I do, everything I speak about, I've researched profusely, and I'm not going to be throwing darts in the dark. This is what a lot of people do, and then they have to retract and so on. So I want to avoid that as much as possible for the sake of credibility. Now, one thing that you have to think about is that they're saying that the shooters were Islamic motivated. We're gonna debunk that. And I'm not a defender of Islam. This is the thing. A lot of the Islamic attacks that go mainstream and get 24/7 coverage are fake, are scripted. But the ones that are not covered by the media and are suffered by daily citizens that we alternative media cover are for the most part organic. So they give you this narrative, and it's being accepted as part of the mainstream even, that Mossad and the CIA are behind all of these operations. In this case, Axios, also in the Australian intelligence agencies. But that, of course, is also peddled by Israel, who has been saying that the killers, in this case, are linked to Iran and Pakistan. Yes, they are Pakistani, but that doesn't mean they're Islamic necessarily. And I'm gonna show you proof of that. I'm not defending Islam. I don't like Islam. I don't like Judaism. They are anti-Christian, both in nature, no matter what they tell you. They will always try to push the narrative that they are our friends. Both of them do. You see the Jews say Judo-Christian values, use that buzzword since like a century ago. It's bollocks. There's no such thing. And you have the Muslims saying, "Oh, but we recognize Jesus as a prophet, and we honor Mary, but they don't recognize Jesus as God, as part of the Holy Trinity." And even if you're not religious, and I understand some of you are not, you have to understand that everything we have in the West, in the United States, in Europe, is thanks to Christianity, to Christian values. Nothing to do with Judaism, nothing to do with the Talmud, nothing to do with the Quran, nothing to do with Islam. Those things belong elsewhere. And actually, Islam, who came to be 500, 600 years after Christianity, has stolen by force, by violence, many of the lands that were Christian in origin, like Syria, Egypt, Turkey, known as Constantinople back in the day, Morocco, Libya, and so on. Now, you notice here the Masonic pillars. This is an interesting comparison. So you understand that this was a Masonic satanic ritual inside this psychological operation. Here is one of the alleged shooters mimicking the pillars of the Freemasonry. You know, you have there the checkered floor, and the coordinates of the location of the attack happen to start with 33, and you know what that means, right? So, you know, I'm gonna pretty much disarm this nonsense. Another very significant piece of information in regards to the 33 is this: gematria, which is Talmudic coding, Kabbalistic coding that the Talmudic Jews use and the Freemasons use. And as you can see, the reduction gematria for Zayid Akram is 33, Masonry is 33. He was described as a bricklayer, unemployed bricklayer. This is the guy that survived, the son. The father was supposedly shot dead. I don't know if he was shot dead or he's going to be put into some other operation. But I can tell you, this guy is most likely a Freemason, a bricklayer. You know how they like to tell you the truth in between the lines. And, let me see what else do I have here. This is the fake Hegelian dialectic, where you have the two pillars and you have right versus left, the fake paradigm that ties into tyranny, where the left promotes globalism, Marxism, and communism, the right promotes nationalism, capitalism, and Zionism. Now, nationalism is not bad per se. It's actually very good because it goes against these New World Order agendas. But it cannot be manipulated. And if it's orchestrated by the powers that be, then it's most likely a trap. Yes, the synagogue attack in the UK was a false flag operation as well. I agree completely, Carl. That's why you were bombarded with this event 24/7. If it was organic, they would not cover it. Why? Because they don't have control over it. Why? Because witchcraft is not involved in it. So it loses the appeal for them to give any attention or invest their resources in promoting it. Let's see. This is other pictures of this character, Ostrovsky, who you can see supporting Israel on his social media all the time. He has spent the last 2 years justifying the war crimes in Israel, in Palestine, Lebanon, and you name it, Syria before that. Israel is a satanic state. It was born out of violence and lies, and it continues to base all their politics and all their agendas on evil and lies. And, when you think about it, they're saying, oh, these guys were angry because of the genocide in Palestine. But then again, they live in Australia. Australia recognized Palestine as a state recently, which is something that angered Netanyahu. And I say quote because it's all theater. Netanyahu works with all the governments of the world. They are doing just theatrics for you. All the governments in the West are controlled by Israel to some degree. You know, others are controlled less than others, but Israel have hands in everything. And if you look at the Five Eyes intelligence network, which involves the United Kingdom, the United States, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, they all work in unison with Mossad. You know, Mossad is basically the hidden hand that pulls the strings. So you have this guy who I suppose, imagine. So this guy is claiming that he has lived in Israel for the last 13 years and that he arrived to Australia 2 weeks ago. So 3 weeks ago to work with a Jewish community, fight anti-Semitism, and fight this bloodthirsty, ravaging hatred, as if it's not deserved. But let me also tell you something that you probably already know. Yes, Mossad is the all-seeing sixth eye. Correct. I'm gonna pin your comment because that's true. I will pin every single truth that you guys post, and if you have questions, please ask them on the chat. I'll do my best to address it. This exposure of the Judaism, of the Zionist agenda, is calculated. It doesn't make it untrue. It doesn't mean that what is being exposed is lies. It means that it has a purpose for the same people that are being exposed. It's a controlled narrative. How do you know this? 5 years ago, you couldn't even mention Zionism in social media without being immediately banned. I suffer it. In 2020, I was already talking against Zionism. I was very ignorant about many things back then compared to now. It's been 5 years, almost 6. But you couldn't talk about these things. Now, these things are everywhere. Everyone is talking about Zionism, and there's even like people like Nick Fuentes, who is a very obvious FBI chill agent. Even though I agree with many of the things that he says, I also recognize that he's full of it. And I will show you a clip at the end of this live stream to support that notion. But this is by design. They are allowing us to talk about this. They want us to hate Israel. They want people to get angry with Israel and the Jews to further their agenda, to basically summon their Messiah, which is the Antichrist. And this is called accelerationism. How do you say that? It's an accelerationist agenda in which they're trying to force the hand of God by sinning, by committing all these crimes, and in a way, they know very well Scripture. You know, it's like demons and the devil. They can tell you Scripture as if they would have written it. They know it, and they are going to try to use it to usher in their diabolical system. That's part of the agenda. So that's something that it's very important for you to know. Before, you couldn't talk about these things because it wasn't the proper timing. Now they allow you to talk about these things because it will fulfill an agenda and it's the right timing for them. So, with that in mind, you want to try to be moderate in not falling for every single thing that it's being published out there, especially by the controlled opposition alternative media. Let's continue with this video for now.
People celebrating the first of 8 nights where they light candles and sing and pray and celebrate on a balmy, beautiful Sydney night, and then horror unfolded. It was one of the most awful scenes that we could ever see in this country, one of Australia's worst massacres. We will have live coverage all through the morning, but right now back to you.
Yeah, that first day of Hanukkah, that particular celebration was called Chanukah by the Sea. As Nat said, it was the first day. It is the most beautiful festival, this one, where it was just families lighting candles and being there on the beach on a warm summer's night, as we've all done at the beach. And Israel has led the wave of condemnation around the world, outrage and sympathy being sent our way in equal measure.
We now go to our reporters in Europe and the US. First to Jacqueline Robson outside the Australia House in London. So, Jackie, a vigil has been held there for the victims.
Yes, Chevo, dozens of people showed up here at Australia House for a last-minute vigil, and there were just so many people who turned up with candles. They were singing. They say they felt compelled to show up and show solidarity with those who have lost their lives in this horrific terror attack. Many people say they are simply shocked. There are Hanukkah events happening right across London. There is a large event happening at Trafalgar Square on Tuesday, and organisers tell me they just don't know how to keep the community safe. This has sent shockwaves through the community here. Organisers now grappling with how to keep everyone safe from a similar event. World leaders have been reacting. The UK Prime Minister saying this is deeply distressing. The German Chancellor says it has left him speechless. King Charles has released a statement saying he and Camilla are appalled and saddened by what has happened, but he has said in times of hurt it is the Australians who rally in unity and resolve. The Prince and Princess of Wales have also released a statement paying tribute to the bravery of those first responders, particularly the police officers who were injured. But there has been sharp criticism too, and that's coming from Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, pointing the finger at the Australian government for not doing enough to reduce the anti-Semitism that has been growing in the community. He has even pointed to the recognition of Palestinian statehood. Australia is one of a number of countries that did so just a few months ago. Netanyahu says that has only inflamed the situation.
It pours fuel on the anti-Semitic fire. It encourages the Jew hatred now stalking your streets. Anti-Semitism is a cancer. It spreads when leaders stay silent and you must replace weakness with action.
Benjamin Netanyahu there. Let's bring in US correspondent Rob Scott now. Sorry to you, Jackie. Let's bring in Rob Scott for us now. Rob, there's also been mass outrage in America.
Yeah, that's right, Mon. Anger and shock. Shock mostly because to Americans, Australia is a place that they see as being free of gun violence thanks to our tightly controlled gun laws. Obviously, the polar opposite is the case here in the United States, with mass shootings like this happening almost on a daily basis. In fact, there was one just yesterday at Brown University in Rhode Island. So disbelief that this is happening now in Australia. Donald Trump speaking from the White House a couple of minutes ago, describing this as a horrible act of anti-Semitism and paying his respects to the victims. Take a listen.
But to Australia and the Prime Minister, to everybody that we know so well, we get along with so well, we have a great relationship. That's a terrible situation going on over there. Think of that.
Now, the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, has also joined the condemnation. He posted on his X account a short time ago, the United States strongly condemns the terrorist attack in Australia targeting a Jewish celebration. Anti-Semitism has no place in our world. Our prayers are with the victims of this horrific attack, the Jewish community and the...
Newsflash, Marco Rubio, nobody cares what you condemn or not. You're all full of it. Donald Trump, Barack Obama, part of the Hegelian dialectic, friends behind the scenes, partners in crime. Nobody gives an F what you guys have to say about anything. Only the minions. You're all liars. It's disgusting.
People of Australia. Similar sentiments from the Attorney General, Pam Bondi. She posted heartbreaking news from Sydney, Australia. My prayers go out to the victims, their families, and the Jewish community.
Pam Bondi, you should be ashamed of yourself. You're a Zionist and you're covering for Jeffrey Epstein, one of the most prolific child traffickers in modern history, and perhaps a patsy, perhaps someone that people in power wanted us to focus on, as many other Jeffrey Epsteins traffic children underground and with their protection. This woman has nothing to do in a position of power. She's useless. She's a liar. She's a fraud.
Now, it appears our security agencies in Australia, that's ASIO and the AFP, have reached out to their counterparts here in the United States for help with the investigation that is unfolding, because Kash Patel, the head of the FBI, tweeted a short time ago that his agency is providing the requested assistance, promising to update the public when and if he can. Now,
Kash Patel. Why do we need an Indian married to a Zionist Mossad agent as an FBI director? If that doesn't scream nonsense, I don't know what does. And I'm sorry, I'm going to be abrasive, I'm going to be strong, and I'm not going to be cowardly. I am going to say things as I feel them, as I see them, as I have researched them. I don't mean to offend any of you, but if you are offended by any of the things I've said, you have to focus on why you're feeling offended, not on why I'm being mean to these people. These people lied to us to our faces. For years, they pretended to be on our side to gain our trust, and now they have completely backstabbed everyone. This guy, complete bollocks. Do you remember what this guy was saying on the media before being selected as an FBI director? Just go look at the videos before he was, I'm talking about 2023, 2022. This guy, he looks like a deer in the headlights, afraid and don't even incapable of doing any real change in the system. He's just a pawn. I'm just going to leave it at that.
the US Embassy, importantly, has also put out a warning to Americans in Australia, warning them to stay away from the area, to obey all the requests from authorities, and importantly, asking them to reach out to their family members here in the US to let them know that they are safe. Mon.
Okay, thank you, Rob. We're getting text through on the text line as well. This from Jules in Melbourne saying, I grew up with this happening on the other side of the world. Now we are the other side of the world and they are hearing about us. It's just not on. Here's Nat at Bondi Beach.
Yes, speaking of Melbourne, this has obviously created heightened tensions around this country. We are all watching it and we are all horrified, but there is also a heightened sense of security in Melbourne. Let's go to Tegan Doling. Can you explain?
Yeah, absolutely, Nat, and that's because we are no stranger to these anti-Semitic attacks, and we have got such a huge Jewish community, many with connections to what happened at Bondi. We have seen the police, Victoria Police, put out a statement really quickly following yesterday's tragedies, saying that as a precaution, they have stepped up security, they have stepped up patrols outside our synagogues here in Melbourne, as well as schools, and we saw that overnight. Standing here this morning, we've seen the police already driving through, but they want to stress that they, as far as they understand, there is no direct threat to the Melbourne Jewish community. This is simply a precaution. So much so they actually cancelled the Hanukkah celebrations at Caulfield Racecourse yesterday and as well at Federation Square. Our Premier also put out a statement to the Jewish community saying that you should not carry fear here in Australia and that you belong here, Nat. We are hoping to get an update from Victoria Police this morning, but you can expect to see many police out at synagogues, out at schools this morning to reassure.
Well, Jacinta Allen looks well, I'm not gonna be unkind. I'm not gonna judge her looks, but you can see that she says, "You belong here, fully, safely, and without question." No, I'm sorry. Islam and Judaism, Talmudic Judaism, don't belong in the West. They don't belong in the United States. They don't belong in Australia. They certainly don't belong in Europe. GTFO, guys. We don't need ya. You have your own country. Go there.
Our community here in Melbourne, that they are safe.
Yeah, and the police are filling the streets here at Bondi. This area behind us is in total lockdown, but even the streets in front of us, people are starting to wake up, starting to wander around, but a lot of the police are on every corner as people start to slowly walk around and remember the scenes of horror that we witnessed yesterday. Let's go to Brisbane. There's a show of solidarity there, Georgie Chumley.
Good morning, Nat. That's right. The Story Bridge and other bridges around Brisbane this morning are dimly lit to acknowledge the tragedy. The Lord Mayor of Brisbane, Adrian Schrinner, putting out a message to the people after spending an evening with the Jewish community here in Brisbane, saying that we need to stamp out the hate and come together as a nation. Premier David Crisafulli has also put out a statement saying the thoughts and prayers of Queenslanders are with the people of Bondi and emergency services who responded to this horrific incident, saying, "I want to assure Queenslanders that the Queensland Police Service remains vigilant this,"
including information that led us to today's search of the storage lot.
Give me a second because this video shouldn't be in this position. I think that, let me see, playlist. Let me check the playlist. Let me close all this. Okay, hide this. I want to see the playlist. Okay. So Bondi Beach. Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. That video wasn't supposed to play yet. So let me see where we are supposed to be.
Welcome back to Bondi Beach, where, of course, less than 12 hours ago, this beautiful beach that Australia knows as probably the most famous beach in this country.
Oh, it was in shuffle.
Of one of this country's
I'm
that
sorry
we've all
about
seen.
that.
US as well. First to
This
Jacqueline
video,
Robson outside Australia House in.
Not really relevant for now. I think.
Welcome back to a special edition of Sunrise. We are right here at the scene of that horror yesterday that unfolded here at Australia.
Mainstream media. Let's see this. I want to get to the video. Why is this interrupting my thing here? What a pain in the ass. Okay, witness accounts.
The North End today, 6 o'clock or something like that. The vibe was good, but something just fell off. There was a big open sort of barbecue happening over here. Heaps of people around. Went and sat on the steps, and then all of a sudden, just sounded like firecrackers going off. And after about 10, people were running from here down. People were running up Campbell Parade, up Hall Street. Just started running up Hall Street with the dog, telling people to get in the shops. Came down Carl Lewis. People started running up Carl Lewis. It was just pandemonium. No one knew what was going on. No one knew how many shooters there were. So, this shouldn't happen in Australia. It shouldn't happen.
Tell me what you saw.
Just one dead person, and it was just 4 coppers. That was ages ago, before all the other cops came. And just lots of police and ambulances everywhere.
And you saw a person on the ground?
Yeah, 1 or 2 dead.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more.
Balls his gun. Balls his gun. He took his gun off and shot him.
I'm just going to ask you about the video you just watched. What you thought? Just
around the social media, obviously, like a lot of videos sending through.
We were at a bar mitzvah. I was working there, and there was a Hanukkah festival, and they were targeting those 2 events, as far as I'm aware.
Right.
So there was 50 gunshots. I mean, it's Australia, so there's fireworks.
Yeah.
And then it was like get down, run. So everyone ran, and then we had to go back another way because the shooters were up there.
In these very moments, our sisters and brothers in Sydney, Australia, being attacked by vile terrorists in a very cruel.
Well, vigils are being held in Tel Aviv. Australian representatives condemned anti-Semitism and.
So this is the fake feud between Netanyahu, the Israeli prime minister and murderer, and probably a pedophile as well. And I'm not afraid of saying those things. And Albanese, the prime minister of Australia. Their fake feuding is theatrics, is optics to push a narrative. Behind the scenes, it's just like professional wrestling. They're all friends, playing kayfabe.
Lit candles in honour of the victims.
Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has condemned the deadly shooting, saying he had warned Anthony Albanese the country's support for Palestinian statehood would fuel anti-Semitism.
Your government did nothing to stop the spread of anti-Semitism in Australia. You did nothing to curb the cancer cells that were growing inside your country. You took no action. You let the disease spread. And the result is the horrific attacks on Jews we saw today.
Israeli Prime Minister there, Benjamin Netanyahu. Let's bring in our Global Affairs editor, Laura Tingle, who's at the desk with us. We just heard there from the Israeli leader. This is nothing new. He has criticised the Albanese government before and other.
Not interested in that. So let's see. Yeah, this is just them talking bollocks. So we're not going to pay attention to these agents of destruction, of chaos.
Welcome back to our live coverage of the Bondi massacre, this horrific incident that happened last night about 6:40 Eastern Time. You're seeing pictures of near the Bondi Pavilion. This is obviously a well-known landmark. It's where this massacre happened yesterday afternoon. People are starting to lay floral tributes. They're making their way down there. And also, as you can see, the Jewish flag next to the Australian flag, a symbol of defiance in the wake of this tragedy. Also,
Symbol of defiance, she says, right? A symbol of defiance. More like a symbol of bootlicking, a symbol of blackmail, being used as a trade currency for influence and power and corruption.
the area behind me is still locked down, as you can see, and it will be locked down for some time to come. Police are still investigating. It is an enormous area because there were over 50, 60 shots fired by these horrific gunmen, and they will be investigating for many days to come, you would expect. In the meantime, this place is eerily quiet. It is one of the most popular, most well-known suburbs in this country. It is the week before Christmas. It would normally be thriving. It was a beautiful night last night and it was packed. Now, there are a few people walking around the streets. They are talking to each other. We've had people come.
Now, let me make a parenthesis. This is another disinformation agent, so we're not going to even listen to her. Thank you guys for resharing the live stream. That makes it that probably more people are going to be able to see it. If you can share it on social media, X, Facebook, Telegram, I would really appreciate it. I'm being throttled. I'm not in the position to invest in expensive newsletters right now. We are on a limited budget, but hopefully things will get better this year. Thank you again, hiker emoji, and there's another person that shared the live stream, but it shows me an emoji literally. It doesn't show me a username. Let's see. If you are there in the chat, let me know who you are so I can thank you properly. But please know that from the bottom of my heart, thank you.
Would respectfully say to Bibi Netanyahu, please stay out of our politics. If you've got that kind of commentary to make, you are not helping. The vast majority of countries in the world recognise Palestine as a state. The vast majority support a two-state solution. Indeed, when I was Prime Minister, Israel notionally supported a two-state solution. It doesn't any longer.
As we all know, Israel has never really genuinely supported a two-state solution, and indeed assassinated their own prime minister, Yitzhak.
Now, this is very interesting. You know, the Young Turks were never an outlet that I would agree with. For the last 6-7 years, I thought they were despicable, and to some degree, I think this lady has improved in her analysis of several situations. The guy, I don't even know his name, Hank Seshkor, I don't know. The guy that is a Turk, he's a jerk. I don't like him. I used to think this lady was really lame. She's been correct lately in many things. Wait, let me just fix this nonsense. Because my TV is saying that it's going to shut down and I don't need that. Okay. Fixed. It's funny, when I'm doing live streams, batteries start to fail, remote controllers start to fail, my TV starts acting out. I don't know what's going on. But like I was saying, I find myself agreeing with this lady more than I agree with some conservative media propellers out there. And, you know, I'm shocked about it. I'm shocked. I never thought I was going to agree with anything that the Young Turks published in their media outlet. But that should tell you something. This has been so co-opted and contrived that I find myself agreeing with this lady. You know, if I would still be a drinker, I would have a shot right now, just to snap out of it, of agreeing with this lady. You know, but let's listen to what she has to say about it.
Rabin back in 1995 for being the only one who was seriously pushing for Palestinians and their ability to pursue self-determination. But the man that you just heard from, with the Australian accent, of course, is Australia's former Prime Minister, Malcolm Turnbull. And he wants Israelis to essentially butt out of Australia's business and their affairs following the Bondi Beach massacre that took place over the weekend. Before I give you more details, Cenk, your 2 cents?
Yeah, it's about time somebody stood up to the Israelis and fought back. And look, I watched another video today, Anna, and Netanyahu, specifically in that video, threatened every Western country and said, "I'm warning you, you better not defy us." So, all right, apparently we're taking our life into our own hands by defying almighty Israel. But thank you to the Australians for fighting back.
So Turnbull was responding specifically to Netanyahu's, in my opinion, absolutely insane statements immediately in the aftermath of the massacre that took place on Bondi Beach. It was an anti-Semitic attack. Obviously, the individuals who were targeted were Jewish. They were at the beach for the first day of Hanukkah. They're celebrating, they're having a good time. But here's how Netanyahu reacted and responded to it immediately. Take a look.
Your call for a Palestinian state pours full fuel on the anti-Semitic fire. It rewards Hamas terrorism. It emboldens those who menace Australian Jews and encourages the Jew hatred now stalking your streets. Anti-Semitism is a cancer. It spreads when leaders stay.
Zionist influence in Western governments is a cancer. Netanyahu. You're despicable. I don't even want to see your face, but you know, be as it may, I have no choice as I have to cover these things. But I have a special disdain for this individual.
Silent. It retreats when leaders act. I call upon you to replace weakness with action appeasement with resolve. Instead, Prime Minister, you replaced weakness with weakness.
So just to summarize Netanyahu's worldview, anti-Semitism is when you recognize the humanity and push for the self-determination of the Palestinian people. That is considered anti-Semitic, according to Benjamin Netanyahu. So in other words, he placed the blame of what happened over the weekend squarely on the Australian government for wanting to recognize a Palestinian state, for understanding and recognizing the humanity of.
This is very significant. And if you look at the general definition of racism, racism is denying the dignity of a specific group of people. This is where we simply don't fit that label. I don't deny the dignity of Muslims. I don't deny the dignity of Jews. I don't deny the dignity of anybody. I would say that if everyone lived with dignity, our world would be way better off. But when people lack dignity and integrity, I'm going to point it out. And if it's pattern recognition ordeal, when it's a specific group of people doing the same crimes over and over and over against another specific group of people, I'm going to say it as it is, and I'm going to put a highlight on it. And that's not me hating on a group of people. I don't like what Islam teaches. I don't like what the Talmud teaches either. But that's not to say that I hate Jews or Muslims. Remember, racism is denying the dignity, the humanity of a group of people. Not making fun of them, not exposing their beliefs, not exposing their crimes, not exposing their corruption. That's not racism.
The Palestinian people. That was his first reaction. And just like what happened in the aftermath of Charlie Kirk's assassination, Netanyahu jumps onto a mic and uses and exploits the tragedy for his own political purposes. He is a disgusting individual, a disgusting human being, and does a disservice to the nation of Israel, considering the fact that they keep electing him as their leader. He is not doing you any favors. But what do you think, Cenk?
Yeah, he's look. It makes me think that these attacks are much more likely to be false flag operations. And by the way, if there's an attack in Europe soon, it was Israel, because he's doing the same exact playbook that he did.
I agree, and I think that's pretty much what's supposed to happen in the next days or weeks. We're gonna have a terrorist false flag operation against Jews or Christians or Muslims, and the blame will be put on everyone except the Jews. And I agree with Cenk on this one. And I never thought I would say that in my life ever, but here we are. 2025 is going wild.
To Australia, he said, "Look, I sent you a letter warning you. You better not recognize the Palestinians if you call them human like us. If you don't agree that they are inferior and should have no sovereignty, if you don't agree to massive, disgusting Israeli racism towards Palestinians, there's going to be a terror attack by them." Wink. Wait, why are?
Disagree with this guy there. Racism is not saying my culture, my country is superior. I can claim and I can point facts to demonstrate how Christianity and Christian values are far superior than satanic, Talmudic, and Islamic anti-values. And that's not racism. I'm not denying their dignity. I want them to be dignified. I want to live in an integrity, honorable manner. That's not to say I'm not more proud, I don't value my culture more, and so on. That's not racism.
Would they attack you if you recognize Palestine as a state? All of a sudden, there's all of these attacks all across the West after we've been warned by Netanyahu. So no, I don't trust any of our governments. And Netanyahu's a dangerous war criminal. And you think that he's like, oh, no, my boundary is I only murder Palestinians, Arabs, and Muslims.
No, he's
but
got
I'm
no boundaries.
swell to everyone else.
Hannibal directive.
No.
Hannibal directive. It is not beneath them to literally kill their own people. Look into the Hannibal directive. I mean, it's disgusting. But Cenk, I don't know. I mean, it does seem like what he's saying is a little logical. So just hear me out. Wouldn't it be true that Muslims would want to retaliate against a country that recognizes fellow Muslims? Like, how does this make any sense? It makes no sense.
Yeah, no, the Israelis are a danger to the world. And they've always been, honestly, like if we're being honest about it, it's not just Netanyahu. The Israelis have been racist towards the Palestinians for 58 straight years at a bare minimum, let alone 75 years.
Yep.
Because for 58 years, they've been doing an occupation that is worse.
I'm agreeing 100%. This Zionist, Talmudic, which is not the same. Some of these people don't even are secular, but they are not unwilling to sacrifice their own to push their agendas. This is something that they will do 100%. Hello, Coley, 422. Pura Vida, I'm very glad you're here, and welcome to the wild ride. It's getting crazy. 2024 was crazy. 2025 has been crazy on steroids, and I'm afraid to think what's going to be of 2026. But I don't think things are going to slow down. On the opposite, they are going to just intensify. And it's funny for this guy to criticize Israel because he is a Turk citizen. I guess he's Turkish descendant, Ottoman. And Turkey works in unison with Israel in many, many ways. Just look at Syria. It was the Jews from Israel and the Turks murdering a bunch of people there and going after al-Assad. Now, if you look back at the Armenian genocide, when they killed 1 million Christian plus in Armenia, it was who did this? Also the Turks and the Israelis. So very interesting. Now, who opened the gates of Toledo for the Muslims to enter Spain and invade Iberia, Portugal, the southern part of Portugal, and almost all of Spain? It was the Jews who opened the gates of Toledo for the Muslims to enter. And just like they did hundreds of years ago, they're doing it now, opening the floodgates for the Muslims to invade the United States and Europe, financed and pushed by, not only financed by the Jews, but also pushed because of the wars that the Zionists have been provoking and using the United States to perform for them, to finance them, ever since before 9/11. It's been the same history over and over and over and over again. And no matter how these people play it, they're never going to convince me they're on our side. I'm all about talking with people. I'm all about negotiating. If I was a leader of any of these nations, if I was a leader, now I'm Portuguese, I live here. Well, I'm actually not Portuguese, not by DNA. And this is something that most people don't understand. I am born in Costa Rica from a Spanish, Italian, and French families. And so I'm a European mutt. That's what I am. But now, because I live in Portugal and I married a Portuguese lady and I have chosen this land to raise my children, this country is my country. I will defend it and I will be loyal to it because I live here. This is what a lot of foreigners don't understand. once you make the conscious decision to move to a country, you are loyal to that country. You're not in that country to be Palestine first, Mexico first, Israel first. No, that shouldn't be. If you move to a country, you should assimilate, you should learn the language, and you should swear an oath of loyalty, of fealty, period. And this is how I promote things, and this is how I live my life. If Portugal was to go to war with any other country right now, I would fight for Portugal. Yes, for many Portuguese, I'm not Portuguese. It's not in my DNA, even though some of my family migrated to Portugal from Spain. But I cannot prove a direct connection to that side of the family, so I cannot say I'm Portuguese. But I live here. I'm a legal migrant, I'm a legal citizen by marriage, and I fight for this country now. And this is something that it's common sense, common decency, and being grateful to the country and the people that have welcomed you. Period. Drop the mic.
Worse than apartheid, where they say these people are inferior to us and should never have the freedom to rule themselves. Their government has voted to never allow a Palestinian state. Every accusation they have is a confession. So they say the Palestinians are dangerous to the West, the Muslims are dangerous to the West. They mean Israel is dangerous to the West. They say, oh, we're worried that we can't exist. You have nukes, you have Iron Dome, you have the best military in the region. You have no threat to your existence at all. That's just a giant, ridiculous lie where they pretend that they have a threat to their existence. Meanwhile, they say the Palestinians should never be allowed to exist. You sound like Germans. Oh, the Jews shouldn't be allowed to exist. And if you don't let us kill all the Jews, well, then you're being anti-German. Sorry, and actually I'm definitely not sorry, but that's exactly how Netanyahu and the entire Israeli government sounds.
So I wanted to just note that while there are some individuals in the elite class, I guess, in Australia's political world who are willing to push back against Israel, meaning Israel doesn't have a complete stranglehold over Australia. That's unfortunately not the case here in the United States, where we have a murderer's row of politicians lining up to essentially regurgitate Israeli propaganda to goad the United States into war, goad Americans into hating people based on their faith, if they're Muslim. And a prime example of that is Senator Tom Cotton. Here's what he had to say.
Australia and some European nations have recognized a non-existent Palestinian state in an open and blatant reward for Hamas's depraved attack on Israel. That's the exact opposite of what we should be doing.
Now, the attack, the mass.
I'm gonna pause there. I do believe that Palestine should be an independent state. I don't hate Muslims. I don't hate Jews. I disagree with the way they do politics. I don't trust them as allies. And that's not to say I hate them or I'm racist against them. I'm just watching my back and following a pattern recognition order, which is something that I've done all my life. And that's something that most people do in their relationships, in their own homes, in their own communities. Yes, my mother was born in Paterson, New Jersey, so obviously I do have a special love for America, for what it stands for in principle. And I have family members living there currently, friends, tons of friends there. So it is my better interest for America, Central America, South America, and Europe to do great. I want all these countries to reach their best potential. And I think that if we would only get rid of these infiltrators in government, and that should be the main priority, dual nationality should be forbidden for people that want to be part of the government. That's just the way that it should be to avoid these conflicts of interest, because most of them is a calculated infiltration to push a certain agenda.
Massacre that took place on Bondi Beach had nothing to do with Hamas whatsoever. In fact, 2 homemade ISIS flags were found in the vehicle of one of the perpetrators. And ISIS is a foe of Hamas, not a friend. In fact, ISIS has killed a ton of Muslims, which would lead me to believe that Israel maybe doesn't mind ISIS as much, which is why they're trying to pin the blame on Hamas. But nonetheless,
I don't know if she didn't say it because she doesn't know it or because she's controlled to some degree, I have to suspect. Patterson, what uniforms? I did report that Patterson has one of the biggest Islamic populations in the United States. I believe it's close to 25%. 20% of the population, which is crazy. It's insane. It's insanity. That should never be. We are Christian nations. This is besides the subject, but Islam tends to do this. At first, they come as innocent migrants. Once they get a certain amount of the population of the region, they start making demands. They start imposing their own culture, and they start basically just absorbing and conquering, first by manipulation, then by the sword. This is something that I have seen across history. It's insane. I am very sorry that we're in this situation. Now, she was mentioning that ISIS has killed many Muslims. Yes, that might be true. ISIS has killed tons of Christians. And she said that Israel doesn't mind ISIS that much is because Mossad and the CIA funded ISIS.
That incredibly disgusting video was posted on X, and in the mentions, I thought there was an interesting interaction with Grok. So one individual by the name of Salman Sufi writes, "How many times has Tom Cotton tweeted for justice for American citizens killed by IDF and settler violence versus tweeting for supporting IDF?" And Grok notes that based on a review of Senator Tom Cotton's X posts, he has not tweeted calling for justice for American citizens killed by IDF or settler violence. He has tweeted over 100 times in support of the IDF and Israel's military actions since 2023. Cenk, back over to you.
All right, so first of all, I want to bring back the graphic from the last story, show you the 9 Americans that were killed by Israel with absolutely no accountability. So every accusation is a confession. It's actually Israel that murders American citizens with impunity, utter impunity. We ask for no accountability for 9 US citizens murdered by Israeli settlers and the IDF. They can kill us anytime they want. So he says the Palestinians should.
Let me fill in the blanks for you, brother. It's not the first time. It's not 9 American citizens. It's in the thousands, probably millions. Let's not forget World War I, World War II, 9/11, SS Liberty, and a myriad of other false flag operations, which have murdered and costed the lives of millions of Americans, millions of Europeans, millions of Christians, and so on. It has even costed the life of millions of Jews. Well, you could say hundreds of thousands, mostly Sephardic Jews. If you look at the history on what happened during World War II, the sacrificed Jews were the Sephardic Jews for the most part because they didn't accept the authority of the Ashkenazi Jews. A lot of people don't know about that. But yes, Jews will sacrifice their own, especially the Ashkenazis, for their satanic purposes.
Be able to exist. It's an infinitely racist and bigoted point of view, of course. And the Israelis demand racism from America. They demand that we hate Muslims. They demand that we discriminate against Palestinians. And our politicians who are dogs to Israel do that. Now, again, if you say, well, Cenk, are you sure about that? How are you sure? Well, yesterday on the show, you saw Lindsey Graham and John Fetterman doing that same exact talking point. Because there was a shooting in Australia, we shouldn't allow Palestine to exist. So how did Fetterman, who's a Democrat, and Lindsey Graham,
I think we got enough of the Young Turks. I think you got the gist, because I want you to see all sides of the equation before we make a determined conclusion. And that's what you should do if you're doing your own research and you want to get to the truth. Just because these guys are leftists, it doesn't mean that everything they're going to say is a lie. As you can see, I ended up agreeing with many of the things they said, and other things I don't agree with, and I certainly disagree with their politics, except for recognizing Palestine, because if it pisses off Israel, it's probably a good thing.
So we're going to listen in to the very latest from Sky News.
Okay, so now, before watching this character that tackled one of the attackers, I'm gonna sum up things for you. Let me go full screen here. Okay, so based on my research, which is why I waited almost a week to cover this. I wanted to be thorough, I wanted to be accurate, and I wanted to have a bit of clarity because of the events in my village with the Muslims. And we had some Pakistani attackers recently, and I was required to assist some people here because our police forces are limited and their hands are tied. I have offered my services to protect the elderly, especially a lot of widows that we have in this village. They don't have anybody to help them. Their sons live in the capital in Lisbon. Their husbands died a long time ago. I have given them my phone number. They are instructed to call me if they see something suspicious. If they're afraid for any reason, I'm a call away and I will go there to help them and protect them. This is what any migrant should do as a respectful and law-abiding citizen and as a man, to protect the elderly, the children, and the women. Now, I don't mean to, I guess, tout myself, but okay. So, officials have said the attack was likely inspired by the Islamic State or similar extremist ideology, citing evidence found on the scene, the flags as discussed by the Young Turks. Israel claims Iran is involved, but this is most likely to justify more war expansion to create the greater state of Israel. This is the agenda. This is the end game. Thank you so much, Coley. This is a no-brainer. These are the friends of my grandma. Well, my wife's grandmother, but she's my grandmother too now by marriage. I love her. She loves me. Like, she really is. She's a blessing, and my wife's family have been a blessing, and their friends have all taken me in. All these people I've met in Portugal, for the most part, 99% of people have been a blessing, and I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm not think I don't see myself as doing anything out of the ordinary. I think I'm obliged to do it. Um, I've talked with some men here, strong men in my village. I have a very good friend that has a tobacco store and an insurance company. He has two businesses. And I came to talk with him after these events, and he said, "Yeah, let's do it. Let's organize a community security squadron. You, I, and I will call all the rest of strong men that I know are willing and body able, and we're gonna have a meeting at my house in January, I'm gonna probably barbecue some stuff. We're gonna play darts. We're gonna have some drinks, and we're gonna just get to business. Because if the police won't act, we will. And I hope that you all are able to do the same. It's not easy, and one has to do it the best way possible. Abide by the law. I'm not suggesting you break the law. I will never suggest that. But I don't. At the same time, I believe that if someone is getting hurt, especially a vulnerable person, defending them with force is law abiding. And if the government fails to protect you, if they break that oath to grant you security for your taxpayer money, they're breaking the contract, and we should be able, as citizens, to break the contract, to demand a refund, just like with any other business. Now, there are ongoing inquiries into whether the two suspects had contacts abroad or ties to extremist networks, including a trip they made together to the Philippines before the attack. Authorities are looking at possible connections to extremist elements there, but this is still under investigation. Federal and state police, including the AFP commissioner, have publicly stated the attack was terrorism inspired by extremist ideology, particularly ISIS style motivation. So that's the official narrative. Now let's go with what's more likely and what the alternative media is saying. But as usual, the alternative media, which is full of control opposition agents, is not telling you the full story. They're just pushing for the other opposite of the Hegelian dialectic. Navid Akram is David Cohen. Some people are claiming this. And let me show you a picture to where I got that from. I don't know if that's true. I'm simply showing you so you can share your thoughts and correct me if I'm wrong. But this is what people are saying. So, there's this picture from February 27, 2022 at the Al Murad Institute by Adam Ismail, a Jew who is here with Akram, the younger one of the killers, of the assassins, of the perps. So Tashwit, I guess, what is Tashwit? Let me just do a quick search. Okay, that has to do with Islam. So, okay, this is part of the other narrative that they are Islamic. But at the same time, let me show you the counterspin. Don't save. I don't want those images to be tainted with the circles I'm drawing. So this is the guy. And we have I guess I didn't open that picture. Let me see if I can find it on my folder real quick. Just bear with me. I'm looking for it. Because there's just so much stuff around these people that, is the truth is going to be confusing because it's just so polluted by craziness. Coming back, let me see. Coming back to this. So this is Akram, and he was born on, I guess this is December 8, 2001. I don't think this means August 12th. So 2001 was the year of 9/11, the Masonic twin pillar ritual with the twin towers, also crafted, funded, and pre-planned and coordinated by Mossad with the CIA, and I would say even the Saudi intelligence network, Saudi Arabia, which some people argue that their royals are in reality crypto Jews, and I think that makes sense. His driver's license expiration date is okay, so this is April 14, 2026. It means he was born on August 12th. As we see, obviously, there's not 14 months. This is 9,011 days after his birth date. So, very interesting, very Kabbalistic. Witchcraft, Babylonian Talmudic witchcraft. The shooting also comes 3 months and 3 days after the 2025 September 11th anniversary. Also, I guess 3 months and 4 days after the Charlie Kirk fake assassination or true assassination blamed on others that are not supposed to be blamed. But, anyways, 3 months and 3 days, 33. Now, on August 12th, there are 141 days left in the year, and it's the 224th day, meaning you subtract 2024 from 365 to find the remaining days, leaving about 141 days until December 31st. 141 is the reverse gematria of Australia and Hanukkah. So everything is coded. These people are witches, and everything they do is full of nonsense and satanic symbolism, satanic numerology, and so on. So let me check the comments here real quick. Yes, no, I appreciate it, Collie. Thank you. I mean, for me, it just comes natural, and I think this is something that all of us should do, especially in the current situation we are in. Right? Uh, this should be non-negotiable for men to stand up and fulfill the roles as protectors. Because if a man cannot protect, at the very least, help and support those of us who can. And this is what a lot of you do. This is something that a lot of you that are not on the front lines are doing by supporting my work. You are indeed participating actively, uh, vicariously, even, you could say. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. Avijay Mani is an IDF soldier who works with Rebel News, which is a Zionist-owned alternative media control opposition outlet. So we have this terrorist, and let me give you some more facts about this. So obviously they're asking for tougher gun laws, as if that's going to fix the problem. Gun laws are only made to abuse and restrict law-abiding citizens. They're not able to control crime. Criminals will always get armed no matter what. And this is only dangerous for good people. Gun laws are useless, corrupt, and tyrannical. And so are taxes. Now, they said that Navida Kram's real name is David Cohen. I'm not 100% sure on that, but you can look it up. And if you have something related to it, let me know. Now, Mossad does have a long history of using fake passports to use in their terrorist attacks. Perhaps the ones on 9/11 were fake as well. I'm not entirely positive on that. But I know that in the 1980s, they used Pakistani passports at an attack on the Mexican embassy. Sajid Akram, which is the father, was allowed to successfully apply for a gun license just a year after Asio investigated his son's links to the terror group. Police have confirmed. So there it goes. Your gun control laws that are super strict in Australia are completely worthless. They allowed this person to arm themselves, even with all the shady links they had. Now, this is very interesting. His name was searched on December 10 at the same time in both Israel and Maryland. Is it one location and a VPN to shift accountability, or is this a false flag operation designed by Mossad and the CIA? You decide. Now I'm going to show you the graphs for that. Let me see where I have them. This was something I got today. So they are here. Okay, I found it. This is the supposed Twitter account of this David Coyne. I'm not sure it's the same person. It could be. It could be. But I would need to see more evidence on that. Now, I show you so you can go and do your own research. This is a lead. I'm not promoting this idea 100%. I'm simply telling you what I found. What else? Okay, the graphs of the internet searches. Here, everything is fact checked, everything is given to you as it is. I'm not here to convince you of anything. I'm just here to show you the right leads and the right evidence and to deconstruct this control opposition narratives and mainstream media narratives, both. So here it is, Sajid Akram. Search on Israel on December 10th, 6 p.m., and then on December 13th. You can see it very clear. Now, Sajid Akram, same time, 6 p.m., December 10th, where? Maryland. So that should tell you something about something. Let's see what else. Okay. The surviving suspected gunman, Akram, 24 years old, was reported to have worked as a bricklayer prior to the attack. Several outlets say he was an unemployed bricklayer living with his family in Sydney's southwest before the shooting. What's a bricklayer? Freemason. And he's the one that survived. Coincidence? The BBC, which cannot be trusted, of course, as they have protected pedophiles and traffickers and just plain traitors of humanity for decades, claims Sajid Akram used an Indian passport to travel for military-style terror training weeks before the massacre. This might be true. This might not be true. Now, if you want to know the list of the victims, and if you want to get them via writing, just send me a DM on Telegram or send me an email. If you have any questions, if you're watching this after it's gone live and you have any comments, any questions, let me know. And I will do my best to reply to you in a timely manner. Obviously, it's Christmas, so I'm going to probably take it's not probably, for sure. I'm gonna take the next 5-6 days off and come back to work full time Friday, Saturday. So that would be Friday, Saturday, it's 25th. Tomorrow's 22. The 23rd is Tuesday, 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th. I've actually will be back on Saturday, 27th. So the victims, Edith Ruthman, 68, community leader, vice president of Anti-Prejudice Group. So this is if in case you want to search for the victims and make sure they're not crisis actors. I didn't have time to do this, but I will give you all the names so you can do it yourself. Dan Elkayam, 27, French national, IT analyst, and community sports participant. Boris Garman, 69, local who attempted to disarm a gunman. Sophia Gurman, Boris's wife, killed alongside him. Alex Kleitman, 87, Holocaust survivor and civil engineer. This one is a red flag. Holocaust survivor, most likely an actor. Yakov Levitan, rabbi, community leader, 39 years old. Peter Meager, 61, retired police detective and rugby club volunteer. Reuben Morrison, 62, Soviet-born businessman who confronted the attacker. All these guys that confronted the attacker are probably also red flags. You should go and look into them. Marika Pogani, 82, volunteer with decades of community service. Matilda, 10 years old, youngest victim, a student. Eli Schlanger, 41 years old, assistant rabbi and community organizer. Adam Smith, 50 years old, local resident attending with family. Boris Teteroid, 68, visitor at the event. No more information. Tanya Tretiak, 68, local resident present at the festival. And Tibor Weitzen, 78, automotive engineer who died shielding his wife. Disclaimer, not only for the sake of community guidelines, but this is how I feel for real as a person. I'm simply directing you to search for these names so you can verify the veracity of this information and the authenticity of these victims. I'm not vouching for the families of these victims to be harassed. I'm not saying they're fake victims. All of them might be real. And if they are, I am terribly sorry for their deaths, especially the elderly and the children and the women, especially Matilda. It's heartbreaking. No child should ever have to die this way. Uh, this must be stated. For me, children are children. I don't care where they're from. They don't deserve any of what this world has to offer that is evil. In reality, nobody does, for the most part. But yeah, if these victims are legit, I am terribly sorry for what happened to them. I'm terribly sorry they fell victims for the Hannibal Directive. And I pray for their souls and their families to find some kind of solace somehow. It's going to be hard to find closure with an operation like this. In addition to those killed, dozens of others were wounded, including children and police officers who responded to this scene. Now, this is interesting. I'm going to show you the video of the person that stopped the attack.
اشو لكم عم مريت بمرحله الله بيعلم
والحمد لله وبس.
الحمد لله على كل شيء.
ايوه هاي احسن شيء.
كتر الله سعيكم يا شباب. I'm sorry.
مو حكيت معه.
يا اخي تذكرني لا دعينا يا ايام.
حكينا معه.
الله يطولنا بعمرك وان شاء الله عرضي ان شاء الله.
وحج غسان الفردوس
حج غسان على راسي، الله يطولنا بعمرك يا حاج غسان وكتر الله سعيكم. وايش بدي اقول لكم والله العظيم.
لا تقول شيء يا ابن خالتي، هلا انت لازم
انتم بالقلب. دعونا
الله يشفيك.
دعونا بالشفاء. دعونا الله ييسر علينا ويطلعنا من المحنه.
امين ان شاء الله. الله كريم.
سلمنا على بشر ويدير باله على حاله.
You are just tuning in. We learned a lot of it.
So the man that tackled one of the attackers, it's Ahmed Al-Ahmed, a 43-year-old Sydney resident originally from Syria and now an Australian citizen. He's a father of two and owns a fruit shop in the Sutherland Shire, south of Sydney. He was not armed or part of law enforcement when the attack began. He was simply in the area when shots rang out. He was shot multiple times by the second gunman during the struggle in the shoulder and hand and was taken to the hospital for surgery. He remains in recovery but stable, and people around the world have donated millions to support his medical care and family through crowdfunding efforts. People online are speculating about him being a Muslim. Well, he fits the profile, his name, his nationality, his origin. He might be a Muslim, but I find conclusive evidence of that. So, with that in mind, take that with a grain of salt. He could be a Muslim. He couldn't be. If he's connected to intelligence as well, I'm not sure. Obviously, if he's a legit hero, someone that risked his life without knowing that this was a false flag operation for the sake of others, my hat goes out to him. This is an example of what most men should do. Certainly. Now, this covers the Australian shooting at Bondi Beach. I gotta tell you that I think I'm gonna cut it here. It's been 2 hours. I'm super tired. I woke up early today to go to church, to go to mass. But I'm thinking that tomorrow I'm gonna do a second part to talk about the Brown shooting, because it's also a long dissection, and that will give him more time to prepare it. This Australian Bondi Beach shooting, false flag operation, is officially discarded as that. It's not reality. It's not what they're telling you it was. And with the facts exposed here, I think that's pretty much clear. Ms. Cojones, thank you for being here. And also you, my friend Coley. Happy New Year to you guys as well. Please have fun. Please enjoy your time. Carl, enjoy your time. I thank you all for being here from the bottom of my heart, and help me fight that censorship. Help me put these truths out there. And I don't think most people are covering all this information all at once. I wish you a good night. I would have stayed with you 2 hours more if I had the energy, but honest to God, I didn't have a good night last night. I didn't sleep very well, and I woke up at 7 in the morning. It's almost 1 a.m. here, so I've been awake for 17 hours, and I'm not a spring chicken anymore. So let's leave it like that. If you guys can join me tomorrow, same time, I will start the live stream at the same time as today. And so tomorrow I'll finally take, after tomorrow's live stream, I'll take some mini vacations, 4 or 5 days off, and we'll meet again on Saturday. Thank you for joining me. God bless you. Stay strong and don't get yourself manipulated by these frauds. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year if we don't meet tomorrow, if you cannot make it, or if you see these videos after the date. Be well, be safe. Thank you.